Hi, and thank you for joining me for this video. So what we have here is the Reactive Outdoor two-step cabin tent. Now, before we jump into this video, I just want to mention that about 3 weeks ago, I did a video on the Reactive Outdoor 3-second tent. And in that time, Reactive reached out to me through an email, and they said to me that they watched that video, they enjoyed it, but they also appreciated my honesty in that video, because although there were some good points to that tent, there were also points that I weren't that keen on. So what Reactive said was that they had passed on those points to their supply chain so they can look to improve that tent. So I was really pleased to hear that. Now, in the meantime, Reactive said, would I like to have a look at their Reactive Outdoor two-step cabin tent? And I thought, why not? So this is what we're going to have a look at today. Now, this tent comes in a choice of 3 sizes. You can get it in a small, which is designed for up to 4 people, and it sells here in the UK for around £250. You can then get this tent in a large, which is designed for up to 6 people, and it sells for around £280. Or you can get it in the XL, which is this tent which we're having a look at today. And this tent has been designed to sleep up to 10 people, and it sells for around £400. But with that said, let's dive into this video. Let's have a good look at this tent so you can decide if this is the right tent for you. Now, everything you get comes in this storage bag, and I have to say, on first impressions, it not only looks good, but it feels really well made. Now, I really like the fact that you get 2 big carry handles, so it's going to make carrying the storage bag a lot easier, whether you're carrying the storage bag on your own or you're going to get someone to help you carry it. Alternatively, because these carry handles are so big, you could simply just carry the storage bag over your shoulder. Now, on this storage bag, you do get a couple of compression straps which help compress everything down. However, I do question the durability on the compression strap buckles, and I have to say I did raise this concern on my last video, because I believe they've used the same compression straps and buckles on their last tent storage bag. But hey, listen, I might be proved wrong, and only time will tell how long these compression strap buckles will last. Now, one of the big features on this storage bag is that it has a really big drawstring opening, so it's going to make getting this tent out and then back in again quick and easy. These kind of openings are normally classed as fast pack storage bag openings, and I have to say this is a real plus on the storage bag, because one thing that really gets to me is when you get a tent and you either struggle to get it out of the storage bag or struggle even more trying to get it back in, but you're not going to have that problem with the storage bag. Now, when it comes to the size of the storage bag, it comes in at 63 centimeters by 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, and the packed weight comes in at around 12.8 kilograms. Now, inside your storage bag, you will get a couple of diagrams and some brief instructions on how to set this tent up. However, on the inside of your storage bag, you'll get more in-depth instructions, not just on how to set this tent up correctly, but also how to deflate it and pack it away again. You will then get a little storage pocket, which you have some aluminium shepherd hook ground pegs in. Now, these aren't the best, and it's not going to take much for these ground pegs to bend. So I would highly recommend upgrading these ground pegs, but it would have been nice if the company had put in more durable ground pegs. Now, when it comes to your guy lines will already come attached to your tent. I have had a good look at the guy lines, and a bit like the ground pegs, they're not the best quality. So once again, I would think about changing those up to more durable guy lines, or perhaps next time round the company could upgrade the guy lines. Now, the tent comes rolled and kept together with these compression straps and buckles, and I have to say I really like it when a company gives you proper compression straps, because all too often you get a couple of bits of cheap nylon that inevitably we always lose, and they never really keep your tent together properly anyway. You will then get a little card inside your storage bag, which is a thank you card for your purchase, but also giving you some extra gifts. So if you scan the QR code on the back, you will get an extended 60-day money-back guarantee. You'll get the ultimate 15 camping meals guide in a printable PDF, but you will also get the ultimate camping packing checklist in a printable PDF. You will then get a little plastic storage container, and inside you will have your battery, and at the top you will also have a mini USB-C charging cable, and then you will also get a free tent repair patch should you need it. Now, what I really like, what the company have done, they've included a footprint. And I really appreciate when a company does that, because all too often you have to always purchase a footprint separately. And I always recommend, whatever tent you've got, always use a footprint under your tent, because it gives you an extra layer of protection. So the fact is that we've got a footprint included in the price of this tent. Well, I couldn't be happier. Now, when it comes to setting up this tent, it is quick and easy. And honestly, there's nothing that's going to catch you out. The first thing you want to do is get your footprint laid out, then lay out your tent, and then go around and peg out the 4 corners of your tent. Now, when you've pegged out all the 4 corners of your tent, you will notice on the corners of your footprint, you do get a little bit of elasticated band and a hook. All you have to do is hook your footprint to the pegs, and that's going to keep your footprint in place and stop it from moving. Now, the next thing you're going to notice is that you have a storm flap covering an air valve, a battery port, and your on and off switch. Now, this storm flap is designed to protect all of these against bad weather. Now, on the opposite end of this air beam, you will notice a second air valve. What you need to do next is ensure both valves are completely closed and screwed tight. So when you inflate this tent, no air is going to escape. The next thing you want to do is grab your tent battery. Now, when it comes to charging this battery, depending how flat your battery is or what plug you're using, charge time will probably be between 3 to 5 hours. Now, when you're charging this battery, it does have a little LED light at the top, and that will turn red when it's charging and green when it's fully charged. Now, when this battery is fully charged, the company have said that this battery should fully inflate your tent up to 5 times before it runs down. So that's good to know. Now, with regards to a replacement battery, if you should lose this battery, or perhaps the battery stopped working for whatever reason, you can get a replacement battery from Reactive, and I believe they sell for around £28 to £30 here in the UK. The next thing to do is to grab your battery. Now, as you can see, there's an arrow pointing up, so you know which way the battery should be facing when you put it in the battery port. All you have to do then is take your battery with that arrow pointing upwards, slide it straight in to your battery port, gently push down, you'll hear it click, and then you know your battery's in place. Now, when you want to remove this battery to recharge it, you simply support the sides of your battery port, and then you can just pull the battery straight out. But obviously we want to inflate this tent, so we're going to put that back in, and then all you have to do is press your start button. The pump will start, and your tent will start to inflate. Now, while this tent is inflating, just to mention that the inflation time on this tent is around 6 to 7 minutes. I'm not going to do a time-lapse video with a timer on the screen, because I have set this tent up several times, and when I have timed the inflation time, as I say, it's inflated in around 6 to 7 minutes. Now, what you will find when this tent is inflating, when the actual air beams get to a pressure of around 10 psi, the pump will stop, and then if your tent isn't fully up, what you will have to do is just to go in and just push up the beams just so they can snap into place. The next thing you want to do is go around and guy and peg out your tent. Now you will find a guy line on each corner of your tent. You'll also notice that you get two air vent covers, one this side and one the other side. These you just need to peg out. And then finally, all you have to do is you will notice on the ceiling of your tent, you get 4 little mesh windows, and these are covered with a little rain fly. And the way you open up this little rain fly is that you have these little supports. They have a little bit of Velcro on, and they just pop open the little rain fly. You just need to go around and open all those up. However, when this tent is set up, if you're on the shorter side, you might struggle opening those up. So what I would do is I would open all those up before you actually inflate your tent. So first impressions of this tent, now it's all set up. Well, I have to say, I think this tent looks really good. Now, when it comes to setting up this tent, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to find an easier tent to set up, which in turn is going to open up camping for a lot of people that otherwise might not be able to camp. But we'll talk about that a little later on in the video. Now, a couple of other features with this tent. I love that you get 2 doors with this tent. You get one this side, one the other side. You get 4 windows. You get 1 each side of your tent, and then you get a further 2 windows, 1 on top of each of the doors. You get plenty of ventilation with this tent, so it's going to let in a nice bit of airflow. So in turn, it's going to help reduce any condensation, but also with all the mesh on this tent, it's going to help keep any of the insects out. Now, another feature to this tent, which I really like, and you actually get 2 of them in the corners of the tent here, you just get a little opening where you can thread a power cord through. So if you're on a campsite and you're hooking up to the mains, instead of leaving part of your door open, you can just thread your cable through the corners of the tent. So I really like that. Now, when it comes to the color of this tent, it just currently comes in this one color, or colors I should say, a green, a gray and a white. Perhaps it would be nice if the company offered a couple of other colors. Perhaps they could do this tent in a nice khaki color or a nice blue. But in saying that, these colors look absolutely fine, and I have no issues with the color of this tent. Now, when it comes to the outer fabric of this tent, it's made from a 210 denier Oxford fabric, and it has a hydrostatic head rating of 3,000 millimeters. Now, when it comes to the stitching, the company claim it's high density stitching. So what is high density stitching? Well, high density stitching means that there are more stitches per square inch, which then in turn will help with strength, durability, weather resistance and shape retention. On top of that, all the seams are tape sealed, so you should have no issues with waterproofing with this tent. Now, when it comes to wind resistance with this tent, the company claimed that this tent could withstand up to 40 mile per hour winds. And I would have to agree with them, because over the past few months, I've looked at other inflatable tents and they all have a wind resistance rating of around 40 miles per hour. Now, when it comes to inflatable tents, when these tents are in the wind, these air beams are designed to flex, but then they're also designed to snap back. So you're not going to have any issues with this tent in the wind. Now, when it comes to the zips on this tent, they're all covered with storm flaps, which are going to help protect the zips from bad weather. However, unfortunately, these storm flaps do flap around a little bit because they don't have any Velcro to attach to. So it would have been nice to have some Velcro underneath these storm flaps. So as I say, when the wind gets up, they're not flapping around. Now, when it comes to the zips on this tent, they are made by SBS, which aren't bad zips. I would class them as middle of the road zips. But to be honest, in my opinion, I think if Reactive want to make a statement, they should put YKK zips on all of their tents. They are by far the best zips, they're the most durable, and they are anti-snag. And to be honest, they are more than affordable, because a lot of budget tents nowadays have YKK zips on. Now, when it comes to this door, it has 2 zips on. It has a zip along the bottom, and it has another zip that goes all the way round. So when it comes to opening up this door, when you've undone both of your zips, unzip them, you can simply just roll and toggle the door panel back. Now what I really like is underneath your storm flap here, as I said, you do get a zip along the bottom, which is great because on some of the bigger tents you don't. So it leaves a little gap, and I know I get a lot of questions from the ladies at times saying, is there a gap, because they're scared that any insects might get in the tent. But you don't have to worry with this tent because the doors on this tent are fully zipped up. Right, let's have a good look inside this tent. Now, first of all, as I mentioned, you do get 2 doors on this tent. Now, this is the door at the other end of the tent, and as you can see on the top of the door, you get a window with a fabric panel that you can roll and toggle up. You then get a window each side. Now, you do get a fabric panel that can be zipped up so you can knock out the light and also give you a little bit of privacy. Or on the other window, as I show you now, you can unzip, roll and toggle up that inner fabric cover. You also get a lamp hook at the top on the ceiling, and then as you can see, you've got all your little mesh windows to allow a nice little bit of airflow coming into your tent. But don't forget, you do have a rain cover over those, so you're not going to get any rain coming in. Now, in the corners of your tent, as you can see here, the corners of your tent are really reinforced really well, so they are incredibly durable. Now, the bottom of your tent, I said each side you had a couple of little air vent covers. So as you can see on the inside of your tent, and you get one each side, you get a little mesh window, which is going to allow a nice little bit of air into your tent as well. Below that, you do get a little storage pocket, and once again, you get another little storage pocket the other side. Now, with these mesh windows, what I would have really liked to have seen is that it had like 1 or 2 zips that you could open up, because you could, in essence, store something underneath that little rain vent outside. And if you could open up these little mesh panels, you could reach out and get something if you wanted. Also, I perhaps would have liked to have seen another back-in sort of fabric panel that could be zipped up or rolled down and toggled. So if you get a little bit of a draft in the evening, you can simply just, you know, zip up that little back panel. But other than that, it's absolutely fine. So all in all, you know, a really nice tent. Now, when it comes to the internal size of this tent, and don't forget, this is the XL version, so it has been designed to sleep up to 10 people. Now, the length of this tent comes in at around 370 centimeters. The width comes in at around 270 centimeters, and then the internal height comes in at around 210 centimeters. Now, I'm 6'2", and I can stand up in the middle of this tent and my head doesn't touch the ceiling. So this tent is going to be more than high enough for most people. Now, with regards to getting 10 people in this tent, well, I suppose if those people were relatively small and they just had sleeping bags, you could probably just squeeze 10 in. But I wouldn't recommend it. This would be better suited to, say, up to 4 people with all their gear. If there was 2 of you with your gear, that would be a complete luxury. And if you're on your own in this tent with all your gear, well, that is simply a palace. But all in all, a really nice sized tent, especially that you've got a nice bit of height that you can stand up in. What I want to do now is talk about these air beams in this tent and how well they're made, because when people are considering buying an inflatable tent, they really do worry how durable these air beams are, and are they going to puncture easy? Are they going to go down while I'm sleeping in the tent? But honestly, you really don't have to worry, because these air beams are really durable, and they are made up of 4 layers. The outer layer is made from a 210D Oxford fabric. The second layer is made from a polyurethane. The third layer is made from a waterproof coating, and the fourth layer is a TPU tube. So more than durable, And honestly, for you to puncture these air beams, you would need a lot of force and you would need something incredibly sharp. I even think Reactive have a little video of someone with a knife actually stabbing these air beams and they don't puncture. So honestly, don't have any concerns with regards to these air beams. Now, as you can see, setting up this tent is quick and easy. And when it comes to taking down this tent, it's even quicker. All you have to do is undo both of your valves. Don't forget you've got a valve on the other air beam. You have to fully undo your valves and this tent will deflate in less than a minute. Then don't forget just to pop out your battery and put that away safely so you can charge it ready for next time. Now, I'm not going to show you how to deflate this tent and fold it up because it's not rocket science. And don't forget, in your storage bag, there's some nice clear instructions on how to deflate it and fold it up and get it back into your storage bag, which isn't difficult at all, because don't forget, you've got a fast pack storage bag. So it's going to make getting this tent back in when you've finished using it nice and easy. So my final thoughts, including pros and cons. Well, first of all, I really like this tent. I think it's a great tent. I think it's got some really nice features and I think it's a really fair price. Now, when it comes to the cons, let's start with the cons and then we'll sort of end on a high with the pros. Well, I wouldn't even say cons, I would just say things that Reactive could improve on. First of all, I would definitely like to see the ground pegs and the guy lines improved to a better quality. Especially with the ground pegs, not so much the guy lines, but the ground pegs, as I said, it's not going to take much for those to bend. Now, with the SBS zips on this tent, nothing wrong with them. Good middle of the road zips, better than cheap zips. But to make that statement, I'd like to see Reactive use YKK zips. Now, when it comes to these bottom air vents, the mesh on the air vents, as I said, I'd like to see some zips on there that you could unzip them and then reach out and get anything that perhaps you're storing. But on top of that, another full fabric panel behind it that you could zip up if you wanted to, just to keep out any cold drafts. Now, when it comes to the color of this tent, nothing wrong with the color of this tent, but it would be lovely to see it in some different colors, i.e. a khaki or even perhaps a nice blue. Now, is this tent perfect in every way? Well, of course it's not, but then again, what tent is? Right, let's talk about the pros. So when it comes to the pros with this tent, first and foremost, obviously how quick and easy it is to set up. With a push of a button, this tent just inflates in a very short period of time. And as I say, with the convenience of just pushing a button and this tent just inflating, it's going to open up camping to so many more people. First of all, for people who don't like or who struggle with tent pole tents, or perhaps people that are elderly that struggle with putting up tents, to people who have some disabilities, it's going to make life easier for so many people. So yeah, the ease of setup and the speed of setup is definitely the highlight of this tent. Now, when it comes to the waterproofing and the windproofing, this is more than weather ready, so you're not going to have to worry about any of that. When it comes to the size, well, I've explained the size, and I think you could talk about the size on about many tents, that they're not quite big enough for the amount of people they say it's designed for. But other than that, you know, this tent, I really like it. I think the materials that Reactive have used are good quality materials. I wouldn't say they were premium, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I like all the features, the 2 doors, all the windows, lots of mesh, lots of ventilation. I really like the features in this tent. I also like that apart from using it as a tent to sleep in, you could use it as a base. You could sit in here with friends and family, have some drinks, have something to eat. You know, could use it for kids just to play in, or perhaps you could put a table each side and sell something from this tent if you're at a fete or festival or something. So many uses for this tent. So overall, for the price, I think this tent is a very fair price. And don't forget, it comes in different sizes. So there's definitely a size for everyone. So listen, in saying that, let me know what you think about this tent, and is this a tent you would consider buying? In saying all that, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And lastly, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.